So society was divided, and not just white people and black people and colored people, but also within groups, in families, like in my family. My parents were classified as mixed in those days, you know, on their birth certificates, which means they were somewhere in between black and white. But when this act was passed, we got identity documents which said we are Cape Coloreds. 3 of my uncles came to live in Cape Town, my mother's brothers. And they lived in Buitengracht Street and the street next door. And they married women who were classified as white, and they worked in the city. So they were white people, although we were blood relatives. So those who could manage to be classified white went for it, because if you're a white person, you would earn a higher salary and you would easily get a job. So there was an incentive to try and be a white. We used to call them play whites, you know, and many of us rejected them because they denied their own roots and took on the identity of the oppressor, which was the white people. So in my family, on both sides, there were divisions, and we would never really meet. So the ones who lived in the city and could manage to get the white classification, because it was difficult for the government to actually place them as coloreds, because, you know, we didn't have DNA tests in those days. So they were then classified as white. But I physically never lived in District 6. I traveled for an hour with a steam train every day for 5 years, from Somerset West to Cape Town to go to school. And I had to cycle 3 miles to the station every day and 3 miles back in the afternoon. I went to Trafalgar High School, and I was there for 4 years, taught by brilliant teachers. We were highly politicized at school. We rejected apartheid. We adopted the philosophy of non-racialism. There were no such thing as colored people or white people or African people. We were just all human beings, South Africans. We had pretty radical philosophies, most of which were Marxist philosophies. And I grew up in that kind of culture.